Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show, before the free show.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome in, nerds. We're here on Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so I go on vacation on Sunday. I leave for vacation. And so
Solid.
my whole life is revolving around how many days until I go on vacation.
Seems
you
good.
know, like there's like the certain amount of time that for 5 days. Like I woke up this morning, first thought I had was 5 days until vacation.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When would it be appropriate, as I'd say this on a show that I do for work, when would it be appropriate for me to just check out? When can I pull that off?
Usually like Thursday is when
You think
it's
so?
kind of
Just
well, 'cause-
mail it in.
yeah. I mean, honestly, you can probably do it tomorrow because full transparency, we've already recorded a show for tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to run that, and then Thursday we'll do a show, and Friday we're not doing a show. So I honestly think that you can just willy-nilly it on Thursday, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you guys should really tune in Friday for, a real high effort show.
Yeah.
We're gonna do on Friday. Just a lot of reason for us to give a lot of effort into that. So that's full transparency of what's going on. Can I tell you about the Texas Football Today Hero of the Week?
Sure.
Dateline.
Dateline.
Thank you.
Sorry. Maybe I checked out. I got a long week ahead of me.
Oregon.
Okay.
The Willamette National Forest specifically. So this gentleman is driving through Willamette National Forest in Oregon. And they got big snow up there. Big snow going on in Willamette National Forest in Oregon.
A forest filled with snow sounds like my worst nightmare.
Well, let me make this nightmare even worse.
Okay.
Because this man gets stuck traveling through the snow. In the middle of the forest. He's all alone.
That's why you don't track through a forest in the snow,
He's all alone.
sir.
And because this is the beginning of a horror story.
Yes.
No cell phone service, of course.
No.
Not there in the
Absolutely
middle of the forest.
not. Why would there
right?
be? It wouldn't be a forest.
So he's stuck. He's screwed. His entire family was out of the country. Nobody knew his whereabouts. Nobody knew where he was. He's toast.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things can happen here. They don't have a name for this guy, by the way. I'm not being coy about his identity.
Okay.
Or they haven't announced it. He'd gotten stuck in his vehicle. Couldn't do anything because he's got no cell phone service. And so, that is when this unidentified man decided to get a little bit MacGyver on him. Are you familiar with MacGyver?
Mm-hmm.
You know MacGyver?
Yeah.
That's a dated reference, but I think it holds up.
Yeah.
Because what he did was he took his cell phone and he typed out a message. Hey, I'm stuck. These are my whereabouts. This is where I'm at. And he hit send. Of course, there's no service, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except he attached his phone to his drone.
Oh,
he flew it to a higher elevation so it could connect to a cell tower and sent, and rescuers found the man who had been stuck for days.
So
That
wow,
is thinking on your feet.
that's awesome.
That's
Should
exciting.
This is further proof that we should get
need
a drone.
A drone could save our lives.
Exactly.
The drone saved this man's life.
Yeah. What happens when we get stuck in because we go to some far-fetched parts of Texas to go to football games. So I've been on a trip to a football game and lost service many of times, and I don't have a drone on me.
That's right. Writing a text on a cell phone, attaching it to a drone, and flying it to a higher elevation so it could connect to a cell tower.
I will say that dude made a mistake I'm firm on the belief train that if you're going to go into a forest to do anything like that, you should probably let someone know, hey, I'm going. If you don't hear from me that I'm home tonight, just know where I'm at.
Mistakes were made. Okay.
Like,
and
this guy packs a drone, but he doesn't tell anyone where he's going.
Furthermore, they had already warned, the Lane County Sheriff had already warned people, hey, avoid unmaintained snow and ice-covered roads.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, something like this could happen.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this guy's perfect.
No.
What I am saying is the ingenuity has earned him the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Today, Ashley Pickle Memorial Hero of the Week. Congratulations.
That's fair.
Hit the theme expo.
Yeah.
Pickle! Hit the arrow sign. Yes, yo! From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it's Texas Football Today, a show coming to you for the 1,551st time. It's a palindrome.
This is true.
My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor at Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. My knee's been hurting lately.
Old.
I'm a guy who likes I sit like cross-legged and sometimes I like tuck my leg underneath here, right?
Probably not good.
I've started doing that, and now when I straighten my leg, it hurts.
Yeah, I would quit doing that.
Breaking over here.
Another reason you need a drone.
Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the places, or listen to us in the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Support your local, mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. Back from her one lunch suspension. She's the Duchess of the Door. She's Ashley Pickle.
I was not suspended. Hi, friends.
Oh, really? Why were you outside?
Because it's a lot better than being inside.
Typical. That's you know what? Honestly, I wasn't fired. I quit. Like, yeah, that sounds better too. I get it. Today is Tuesday, March 7th, 2023. 261 days until Thanksgiving. Happy birthday to... Anybody you want to wish a happy birthday to?
No.
Happy birthday to Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston turns 67
I know that
today.
name. What is...
Breaking Bad.
Yes, okay.
Walter White. 67.
Wow.
Looks great for 67.
He does.
He was also in the 2014 film Godzilla.
Which seems completely relevant.
He was. The American version. Anyway, it's episode 1551, as we previously said. On today's show, folks, back half of the show, we're going to be joined by the head coach of the Muleshoe Mules. Coach Jason Richards will join us. We'll talk about something we're going to talk about in the first segment with him, but also just about his Mules and a great season they had this past year, their first winning season since 2016. We'll talk with Coach Richards coming up here at the back half of the program. We will start, though, with Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
We're going to take a look at Texas high school football teams in close games in 2022, and I will reveal to you the single most shocking statistic that I have found about the 2022 Texas high school football season.
Oh, yes, you told me this yesterday.
I was gobsmacked.
Yeah.
Flabbergasted by this. But we will get into that coming up here at the back half of the show. Do we have first four through the door?
We sure do. It was Daniel Agnew, Nick Morton, Tony Blaylock, and Ed McElroy. Welcome in, fellas.
Welcome in, friends. We appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with us. On this, a Tuesday, it's March 7th, 2023, and on Tuesday in the off-season, we celebrate Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday. Math Tuesday.
It's Math Tuesday here on Texas Football Today, where we dive into the numbers of football across the Lone Star State. And last week, we had a little fun talking about home field advantage, and we broke it down in a variety of different ways. And one of the things that I found to be particularly interesting was whenever we broke it down by whenever games were close.
Yeah.
Because when games were close, that is when really you saw I think, a more pronounced home field advantage.
Yes, correct.
That in a close game, home field advantage can maybe put your team over the top. And so I wanted to kind of expand on that, and I wanted to take a look at the at teams in close games. Because that is, to me, I think that you've obviously got some teams out there that go out there and they just blow every team away.
Yeah.
Right? They just dominate every team that they play, or they are, sadly, non-competitive, and they get blown out in almost all of their games. There's a lot of teams. There's a fair number of teams out there that do not play a whole lot of close games. For example, I'll give you I'll just tell you that. Let me see if I can find this real quick.
Austin LBJ.
Yeah, Austin LBJ. That's one of them. So there were only a handful. There were a fair number of teams that only played one close game, right, or no close games. There were some teams that, frankly, didn't play any. I'm trying to see if I can look that up real quick, but I'm having trouble looking that up. For example, the Woodlands. The Woodlands only played one game within one score.
Yeah.
This past year. There's a good number of those teams that did not play close games. So, but if you find yourself in close games, then generally speaking, I think if you take a look even at the home field advantage numbers, you'll say that generally speaking, you should split the difference and you should go about 500 in close games. Yep. By the way that we're describing close games, I should clear this up, is a one-score game.
Yep.
Okay? So if it is within 8 points is the most number of points you can score in one possession. So if it is a one-score game, then that is what we're calling a close game. Now there were also teams that did nothing but live in close games. Allow me to introduce you to the Abilene Wiley Bulldogs. Okay? The Abilene Wiley Bulldogs played 8 games out of their 14. 8 games within one score.
I remember we had Coach on either Scoreboard or Football Friday last season, and we were like, Coach, do you ever just feel like, I don't know, having a little bit of a gap? And he's like, it's killing me. 8
games within one score. They beat Brownwood by 6. They lost to Lubbock Cooper by 5. They lost to Stephenville by 7. They lost to San Angelo Central on the last play on a Hail Mary by 2.
Yes, that's when it was.
They beat Wichita Falls Rider by 1. They beat Amarillo Paladuro by 3. And then they beat Canutillo by 4, and they lost to Argyle in the playoffs by 7.
Yeah, it was the San Angelo Central game where we all started going, well, they've been doing this a lot.
That is the most number of games
That's
that a
crazy.
team played within one score in 2022. Abilene Wiley played 8 games within one score in 2022. That's pretty remarkable. But you may also notice, as I went through those, their record in those games, 4-4.
Right at about 500.
Most teams hovering around 500 as far as one-score games is concerned.
Which, if you're a coach and you want to preach that every possession matters, there's your
and certainly there's an element.
Your sample size.
I think when you talk about a close game, certainly there's an element of luck,
yes.
right? One play can literally change the course of the game. There's certainly an element of luck. There's also an element of clutch, right? I don't want to go too crazy into the idea of clutch, but for example, China Spring is a team we're about to talk about. China Spring went 4-0 in close games, right? China Spring, pretty darn good team. That's obviously a team that put it together in close games, and they thrived in those situations. So I don't think it's one thing or another. I think that when you get into a close game, there's obviously talent involved and handling the pressure, but there is also luck, and I think we should recognize that. So I want to look at the teams that were the best in one-score games in 2022. And there were 4 teams that stood out above everybody. Okay? There are 4 teams. Hitchcock.
My darling.
Your beloved Hitchcock.
Which is why it was such a hard season to watch.
It was. I certainly understand that. They went 5-0 in their one-score games. Port Neches Groves, en route to their state championship run, went 5-0 in one-score games.
I think a couple of those were also quite a few of those were in overtime for them.
Right. Wimberley is another team that went 5-0 in non-district or rather in one-score games, which you know what, made it all the way to a state championship game. They were pretty remarkable. I think the outlier on that top line is George Ranch, because Hitchcock, pretty darn good, right? I want to say regional finalists.
Yes,
regional finalists, right?
Correct.
Good team. Port Neches Groves played for a title. Wimberley played for a title. George Ranch went 6-5.
Wow.
Okay? But in their close games, they went 5-0 in close games.
So they only won one game by a margin.
Had a 3-point win over Fort Bend Clements. They had a 3-point win over Fort Bend Travis. They had a 3-point overtime win over Fort Bend Bush, a 3-point win over Fort Bend Dulles, and a 7-point win over Fort Bend Elkins.
Goodness.
So I want you to think about this. They went 6-5 this last year. 6-5, and certainly Nick Cavallo and company doing work down there in Richmond. They were 19 points away
from
going 1-9.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about coming up when it matters most.
No kidding. That's impressive.
They went 5-0 in games decided by 8 or fewer points. Then there's a glut of teams that went 4-0. Bunch of teams. I'll just run through them quick. Anna, Burton, China Spring, Cushing, Groover, Lavernia, Muleshoe, whose coach we're going to talk to in the next segment. Hey, look, it's almost like we booked this show on purpose.
Wow.
New Braunfels Canyon went 4-0 in one-score games. North Crowley had a flair for the dramatic. They went 4-0.
With an undefeated regular season.
Palestine went 4-0. Pampa, San Diego, Sims Bowie, and then South Oak Cliff. South Oak Cliff went 4-0 in close games. In fact, what I think is interesting, you got two teams that played each other.
That's true.
That won a combined 9-0 in one-score games.
For the state championship. Yeah, that's crazy.
Kind of wild. You also had two teams that went 5-1. Corpus Christi Veterans Memorial went 5-1 in one-score games, as did Tomball. Tomball went 5-1. They had a flair for the dramatic. And then you had a decent number of teams that went 4-1 in one-score games. Cibolo Steel, Crandall, Frisco Reedy, La Feria, Lubbock Cooper, Port Arthur Memorial, and Red Oak. Those are teams that went 4-1. So these were teams that when it got to the nitty-gritty, when it got down to winning time, these teams were the best at coming up with those plays and coming up with those one-score wins. They were excellent. They were the best teams in Texas high school football in one-score games. Pickle, it is now time to unveil the most shocking statistic I've found about the 2022 Texas high school football season. And it belongs to the Odom Owls.
This is crazy.
Odom has the dubious honor of going 0-7 in one-score games. 0-7. They went 1-9 this season, okay? And yet, they are literally a handful of plays away from being 8-2.
That's just jarring.
0-7. Okay, they had a 6-point loss to Mathis. They had a 7-point loss to San Diego, who, by the way, was on our other list of being really good in one-score games. They had a 7-point loss to Taft, a 1-point loss to Santa Rosa, a 1-point loss to Hebronville, a 2-point loss to Banquetti, and an 8-point loss to George West.
That's like at max 30 points?
Yeah. Think about that. They're about 30 points away from going 8-2 instead of 1-9.
Yeah, 7-7-6-8, and then 2-2-1-1.
Right. So there were a handful of other teams that played in. We already talked about Abilene Wiley. There are a handful of other teams that played in 7+ one-score games.
Yes.
And almost all of them kind of hover around that
500
that 500, right? El Paso Americas went 4-3. Stephenville went 4-3. Bullard went 3-4. Like one of the outliers is Laredo United South. They went 2-5, which kind of unlucky, right? Nothing comes close to Odom.
No.
Odom
1-9 to.
You would. They had 3 games within 2 points,
yeah.
And they lost all of them.
Yeah.
Shocking. But they are far from alone as far as again, I don't want to say like unlucky because there's some skill involved in this. But like certainly you would think that if you play in 5 games of one that were decided by one score or a fewer, that you would win one of them.
Right.
And so you take a look at these teams. Perryton went 0-5 in one score games, as did Round Rock McNeil. Two teams went 0-5. You got a bunch of teams there at 0-4. Borger, Buna, Carrizo Springs, Cy Ranch, Frisco, Wakeland, Leander Glen, Liberty, shout out Hudson Standish, Lubbock, Monterey, New Caney Porter, Overton, Paul Pewitt, and Spearman all went 0-4 in one-score games. And then you have one team in Bastrop that went 1-5 in one-score games. And I just, to me, I have to wonder what the conversation is like for Armando Huerta and the Odom Owls of, you guys are in every game.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the same time, certainly finishing is a skill.
Right.
And it's something that you have to learn how to finish.
Mm-hmm.
To go, think about that gulf between Hitchcock, who went 5-0 in one-score games, or even go with San Diego, who played Odom.
Yep.
In the same, I want to say the same district. Yeah, the same district. They were, no, it's not a district game. I'm sorry. San Diego went 4-0 in one-score games, and Odom went 0-7 in one-score games. Again, certainly there's skill involved, and certainly there's plays that come up.
Right.
But when it gets to a point of 0-7 in one-score games,
3 games within 2 points,
you're snake bit.
Yeah.
You're snake
Well,
bit.
and a lot of coaches will tell you that. I think that when it comes to having a jarring statistic like that with not being able to finish a game, is a lot of times all you need is one.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just, after the third or fourth time that happens, if you can just win one of them, I would be dumbfounded if another one happened after that.
So let me give you an example. Okay, let's go back to Odom. Okay, Odom is sitting at they're now sitting at 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 6. Okay, they're sitting at 1 and 6. They've just beaten Monte Alto, their only win of the year. And yeah, they look back and they go, boy, howdy, we've got 4 losses in one-score games.
Mm-hmm.
We can turn around. But we just got done throttling Monte Alto. Let's turn things around.
Yep.
We're going to Hebronville. They lose by 1 point. They lose by 1 point. Think about if that flips.
Oh, yeah.
If that flips, you wonder if they make the playoffs.
Right. Yeah.
Because then they lose by 2 to Banketti and they lose by 8 to George West.
Yeah, because what happens in those scenarios is you look up at the scoreboard and you see that you're down by 1 and you say, here it goes again. It's going to happen again. And then you're out of the game at that point.
And yet, at the same time, I think go to a team like Port Neches Groves. Mm-hmm. Wimberley's another good example of that. I think those two teams, they got into late and close situations, and they go,
bet, here we go.
Baby, we're comfortable.
Yep.
We live here.
Yep.
This is what we do all the time. This is how we live.
Which is such a narrative that we talk about all the time when it comes to playoffs, is when you get past about the third round, you legitimately say, hey, look, this team has played 4 close games. They're comfortable here. We talk about it on air all the time. Oh, they've been in this situation. They're not batting their eyes going down at halftime.
You're exactly right. And I go back to that 2021 title game between Franklin and Gunner. Mm-hmm. And one of the keys going in that game that we thought was Franklin's played 2 close games.
Yep.
Remember that semifinal? They
against
really had to
Wascom.
Yeah, they really had to work for it in that semifinal. And then their season opener, they had to work for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Gunner had blown the doors off everybody.
Yeah. I mean, they were winning by a margin of 28, 30 points.
And certainly, I think Franklin was the better team in that game. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking anything away from them.
No.
But I think it's impossible to extricate their success in close games and their experience in close games compared to Gunner, who the first time they were in a competitive fourth quarter was in a state championship game.
Well, and then I think you even go back to the Jim Ned Hallettsville game that ended up winning, or Jim Ned won in overtime, and it's both of those teams had played a couple of close games, and so that's what made that game so incredibly fun, is that both teams are used to doing that.
So there you have it. I took a look at teams in one-score games. Shout out.
That's just heartbreaking.
Shout out to teams like Hitchcock, Richmond George Ranch, Wimberley, and Port Neches Groves. And boy, I feel like I just need to send Armando Huerta a hug.
Yeah, and just say,
that's brutal.
buddy, you were right there.
Anyway, that's Math Tuesday.
Math Tuesday.
We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Now, a word from our friends at VCR Now.
Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful, long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW.
Pickle, let's go to the hotline. And let's go up to the South Plains.
Yeah.
Bailey County. Talk with the head coach of the Muleshoe Mules. We're joined by Coach Jason Richards. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking some time. How are things in beautiful Bailey County?
Man, I tell you what, it's about 70 degrees with no wind. It is beautiful today.
No wind. Something must be wrong.
No, I know out there, no wind is a headline.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal. The morale is good right now.
Yeah, I have to imagine. Well, and the morale should be good around the Mules program right now. You guys are coming off of your first winning season since 2016. I'm interested in, it was your third year at the helm. You take over a team that had gone 0-10. You go from 2-7 to 6-6, and then finally to 8-4 this past year. When you took over, is that the kind of timeline? Is that the kind of build that you had anticipated?
Well, to be honest with you, I think we're a little ahead of schedule, but we had some very special seniors that a lot of them were on as freshmen up on the varsity. And those kids were winners, man. They were hard workers. This program has been built on hard work for a long time. Really good senior class, and I've been coaching for 20 years, and this senior class will be one that I'll remember forever. And as they were sophomores, we went 2-7, and we lost 4 games by a touchdown or less. And I knew we were close. And then that 6-6 run was something special. And then this year we went 8-4. We lost 3 ball games to the top 5 teams in the state. And I'm just really proud of these kids, and they're continuing to work in off season. And I'm really excited for the kids that are coming up.
Well, and Coach, it's funny that you mentioned that, because we literally just got done talking about that. You guys, you mentioned how close you felt back 2 years ago, but with a bunch of close games. You guys were one of 18 teams in Texas high school football to go 4-0 or better in one-score games this past year. Does it feel like that is a switch that flipped, and that's just a matter of seniors growing up and that culture kind of taking hold?
Absolutely, and I'm still I'm only 38 years old, but I feel like I'm about 50 because we our playoff game this year in the first round against Brownfield, we went down 24-0 and scored 40 points in 6 minutes. So as much as I love those seniors, I think they kind of messed with me a little bit. But I'd like to just kind of get a lead and, kind of win some football games with a little less stress.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would, we're about the same age. We're all kind of going gray, and I feel like your players may not be helping your cause. It's Jason Richards, the head coach at Muleshoe here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TFToday. Coach, I'm interested. We mentioned that this was your third year at the helm there at Muleshoe. I want to take you back to January of 2020 and ask you, maybe what do you know now about this program and maybe this job that you didn't know whenever you took over?
I grew up about 30 miles down the road in Clovis, New Mexico, and me and Lincoln Riley are about the same age, and Kyle Atwood that's now at Holiday. We all knew of each other. Kevin Crane there at San Angelo Central. We all grew up together, so we were always familiar. I was always familiar with Muleshoe and the success that they had and what Coach Wood built here. And I just wanted to build on that tradition And when I took over, and I actually took over February 3rd of 2020, I saw the kids for about 6 weeks, and then COVID hit. And it was a very interesting deal trying to build a program and not even knowing who your kids were really. And when we finally got the UIL finally came through and said we could kind of start working out in a limited capacity, our kids really showed up. This is a very prideful community. I've never had the support anywhere I've ever been from administration, community, the parents. The parents want these kids to be successful, and it's kind of nice. They let us coach these kids. We love these kids, and we're very excited. We're 3A school. We're dead into track, softball, powerlifting, tennis. We're all over the place, and we have a lot of kids competing. So that's what I want.
Looking at your 2023 squad moving forward, I know you've got a couple of guys that you're really excited about. One of them, Daniel Sainez, your running back, who a 2-year All-District guy, 10 touchdowns last year, nearly 1,200 yards rushing. This is an offense that you guys have been able to really find a way. You guys have had balance. How important has Daniel Sainez been to what you guys have done?
Daniel Sainez is a kid that got third in the state last year at the state track meet in the 400-meter dash. And he's just a tough kid. And I think our team feeds off of his toughness. Another kid that I really didn't even realize this until I sent in my questionnaire is Sebastian Curvin. He played quarterback, H-back, defensive end for us, but he accounted for 1,578 yards of offense last year. He's a weapon. I think he's one of the best kept secret tight ends in West Texas. He is a true athlete. He's excelling in track right now, getting faster, excelling in baseball. He's a kid that makes me real excited. We're going to move him all over the place. We graduated some really good skill kids with 4 years of varsity experience in Irvin Torres and Judas Reyes and Bone Cisneros. But we've got some young kids that are really stepping up in Yahir Quesada and Mauricio Herrera. We're really excited for those guys, and we're excited about our young quarterback. Our young quarterback was a sophomore last year, had some injuries. Sebastian Curvin took over. But I think we can be at our best with Curvin all over the place and having Martins throw it to him. So we're excited about that combination. And here's something that I'm really excited about is we got 4 out of our 5 offensive linemen returning. Plus with Daniel Sainez, we'll be able to take some more pressure off of our young quarterback. And so I'd rather be getting skill kids up to speed than linemen up to speed. So we're excited.
Ample reason to be excited. Talking with Jason Richards, the head coach of the Muleshoe Mules here in Texas football today. Coach, on the defensive side, you guys have made steady improvement over the course of your tenure there. The past year, you guys were able to shave a full touchdown per game off your points allowed per game average. Now looking forward to 2023, you lose a couple of key guys, Jackson Lopez, David McMullen, who I know is going to play at the next level. I'm interested when you take a look at your defense. I know you've got some youngsters you're excited about. Is there a hope that the culture that you have built in of defense, we're gonna continue to play great defense out here in Muleshoe? Is there the hope that that's going to really take hold?
Absolutely. Our defensive coordinator, Daryl Davis, actually coached me in high school, and he retired in New Mexico, and he came with me when I got this job. And, he's one of those guys that if it wasn't for him in my life, I wouldn't be where I'm at. And he does a tremendous job with our kids. And to be honest with you, the last 3 years, our defense has kind of been the stable factor in our games where they are – keeping us in games, and we have a great mentality on defense, and we try to carry that over into offense and special teams. So we always all 3 factors are big, but we're going to try to play good defense for sure.
And finally, Coach, I want to ask you a little bit because I went back and actually I watched your in preparation for this. I watched your opening press conference back in 2020 when you were hired, and I know that you had a lovely young woman to your left there, in Miss Angela Stewart, and I know she was your fiance then. Now Now that she's the first lady of Muleshoe, how has all of that transition worked out?
My wife was they were one game away from the state tournament at Flower Bluff. She was the head softball coach. And I've left 3 times in the middle of the year taking coaching jobs, and she was all in. She loves Muleshoe. She coached for us for a little bit. She's actually an assistant principal at the elementary right now, and she is loving every single minute of it. Those kids love her. And I was a little jealous last night. She made some Cat in the Hat Dr. Seuss popcorn for the kids in the reading club. I said, well, I wouldn't have been able to eat no popcorn because I wouldn't have been in the reading club, but I'm glad that you're doing that for those kids.
He's Jason Richards. He's the head coach of the Muleshoe Mules. Coach, we sure appreciate your time. Congratulations on a great 2022, and looking forward to seeing what you do with the Mules this upcoming season.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. Y'all have a great day.
Absolutely. There he goes. Jason Richards, head coach of the Muleshoe Mules. Join us here, Texas Football Today. And yeah, that's so interesting that he mentioned that. I didn't realize that in 2020 they lost all those close games. And then in 2022 they're like the kings of close games.
Yeah.
They found a way to win, and they, you want to talk about a program growing up, and he mentioned a special senior class. They got to replace a lot of those guys.
Yep.
But at the same time, I think you can hear in his voice how excited he is about this 2023 squad, and I think there's good reason, to be excited. It's a tough district, right? Bushland's in there, Shallow-Water's in there, but I think that they're going to be in that mix, and I think that the trajectory for that Muleshoe team is certainly pointing in the right direction. So we appreciate Jason Richards out at Muleshoe hopping on with us. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment, The Final Thought.
Man, I have been racking my brain. I had something in the middle of that interview, and then I was so interested in what Coach was saying that I completely lost it. And I've been sitting here going, Final Thoughts, it's coming up, and I can't. It was a very important point, and I cannot remember it to save my life. I'll tweet it if I think about it, but I can't.
We can just sit here in silence.
No, it's killing me.
Well, here's the problem. Tomorrow's show's on tape. Spoiler.
Yeah.
So like if you remember it, like you're gonna turn off the computer here in about 30 seconds.
And
right?
then I'll remember it.
If you remember it in 35 seconds, you're gonna have to remember it for 2 whole days.
Which will be easy because at that point it'll be ingrained in my brain.
You gotta write it down.
I know.
Just write it down. Just write it down.
Oh, it was something good. Well,
Sounds like
Happy
it.
Tuesday, everyone.
Happy Tuesday.
Gosh darn it.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCT. I'm going to talk slowly because she's going to remember it.
I know.
Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on TikTok. I don't know what our TikTok name is, but
at Dave Campbell's.
At Dave Campbell's on TikTok. And see our work at TexasFootball.com. Nothing?
Nothing? No.
Okay. Thanks to Jason Richards and Muleshoe for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.